will drill down, but we don't get in too deep. Okay, where am I? Here we go. Okay, the beginnings of the Inyan the Yomen, named Yom Kippurim SUCCOS. That's where we're at right now. Gam Shmonech B'Yemei HaChag. V'Seder Nachon. Bo Nivar Barucha, that will explain this in detail. V'Techilas Yom Rosh Hashanah V'Yom Kippurim. So we're going to talk about that. So V'Daki Lihiyoski B'Yom Rosh Hashanah Nivra Ha'olam. So it's starting here. L'chein Chayzer Lihiyos B'Yom Rosh Hashanah Shebekol Shana V'Shana K'inyan Mashahoy B'Yom Rosh Hashanah, that was in the first in Rosh Hashanah Shebel Nivra Olam, that one. Uki Chayzer Zer Anpen V'Nuk La'amod Ach Ba'ach. They go back to that position of Ach Ba'ach. Now I use the word Chayzer, assuming that they weren't Ach Ba'ach. Well, so is that what he saw? He's talking about Zon. So he said that Srichem Nesira V'Chazaras Panim B'Panim. V'Hivuk V'Nishuk V'Zivuk. So it has to go through all of these different stages. So they want to come back and to be Panim B'Panim. Then they're going to go through the stage of hugging, kissing, and ultimately Yichud. So there are 3 different steps. This continues on the Rosh Hashanah ad Shmini Atzeres. It continues all this whole time. We're going to explain it later on. So he says that the chasadim now are going to become from the side of Ima, which is the left side, into the nukva gezer anpen. Okay, I'm not sure how that works. Who is the nukva zer anpen me'achrav? So she moves from his back. She's removed from his back. So then on Erev Yom Kippur, yeah, that's right, we complete the process of removing her, but we find that she's not ready for Yichud. And all of these days, then, he says, Kol ha'zivugim kulam hem Yisrael o Yaakov im Leah. So all the Yehudim are going to be either Yisrael or Yaakov. Yisrael, I'm assuming, would be the entire Zer Anpin, with Leah. Or there's another place where he explains that Yisrael really refers from the Chaz of Lamala, and Yaakov would be the Chaz of Lamata. That's another idea that was as expressed. Kamor, as has been stated, Rosh Hashanah, the Yom Kippurim, is small tachas the Roshi. So that's the one that we say that is the left-sided one. What he threw me over here a little bit is the place where he said that it comes from the left side, let's say from Ima, and goes through the chasadim come from Ima and go to the Nukva. I thought she got the Gevuras there, but I don't know that. Shahu Inyan Chibuk small. So the whole thing is the idea of the left hand, the left side. And he's talking about chasadim there. So he says the Inyan, who the Inyan is like this. Kine Inyan and Asira, who Inyan the Kiyas Dinim Hakashim. So what's happening is you're pushing out the Dinim as Hakashim. Sheesh Ba'acham de Duchura, which is in the backside. This is the concept of the front side and the back side. So the back side is Yesh Ba'acharim de Duchura, all these Dinim. Lit them benukva, and he puts them into don't fight with your wife, into your nukva. Zishach hu chesed, he remains completely chesed v'nuk kula din. Then if they levasem of lamatek dinim shebenukva, that's the problem, that she has all of the dinim now, has to be sweet. Umchabkach b'smol k'noides, so that's that concept of he hugs her on his left side. You could only sweeten dinim, or make them smell better. That's what he says. They can be perfumed. Ela b'sharsham, at the root. Where is it? he's small, the Zeir Anpin is on the left side of Zeir Anpin. Now that has to be straightened out a little bit. He's equating the backside of Zeir Anpin to the left side of Zeir Anpin. So therefore he's hugging the back of the nook. And that's the place where you're going to put all the dinim that comes as a result of removing her. She actually removing her means completing her in dinim. And when that's happening, it's left-sided. It's coming out of the left side. That's the hugging her with the left. So then she becomes sweeter smelling. I don't know what to do with this word exactly, but that's what it means. And become beaten down, humbled. V'nimtokim, as a result of that, to become sweetened. That is, that he hugs her with the left. Now, exactly what that means, I'm not going into it, so let's keep going on. Bir in the chibuk is of the Indian, so to understand this, in Yanu, who its Indian is like this, can the Erev Rosh Hashover, ki b'yom Rosh Hashanah, Beis HaFolos Adar Mita v'Chashay Rabbi. He says, Heim Yotzin HaMochim Shalom Im Levusheichem. So the Mochim come out, is the Mochim, I guess, inside of Zeir Anpin. We'll see. Heim Yotzin HaMochim Shalom Im Levusheichem, together with their covering. Shehem Netzach Chod Yisod, the Ima, which are the cover. What is the covering of the Mochim? The covering of the Mochim is the Nai of Ima. They're contained, the Mochim are contained there in the three, which we begin the 3 lines in Zeir Anpin. The Yotze B'tocho, and they come out from it. The Nishar Yasha, and then it comes out from him, Zeir Anpin, and remains sleeping. V'az Trin Mochim, the Churim, then there are 2 male Mochim. Chachma v'itru de chesed. Let's look at it like this. There are actually 4 mochim, not 3. The nish'arim bebilti levusheichem, but they remain without their clothing. V'bechidus or makif al rosh Zeir Anpin. Let me read that again. He says v'az trin mochim. There are 2 mochim, which are the. I guess we're talking about the Nesira itself. What happens in the Nesira is that everything leaves Zeir Anpin. He goes to sleep. But the chasadim, or let's say the right side, doesn't go into the nukva, rather just the left side. And the right side remains the sh'arim bilti levusheichem, so these lights are not clothed anymore in the night. They're like suspended in air, and they're bechinas or makiv al rosh Zeir Anpin. The train mochim nukvin bina v'retara the gevura, so the 2, let me see. He says, the trin mochin nokvin, so then the female side, which is the middle left and the left, the travs hagavur mislavshim to hahod bina bilvad, they go in only into the hod of bina. V'niknasim toch nuk b'bechidas mochin, and they enter into the nuk. So they come out of bina because everything got pulled up. They go back up, and bina then starts entering in, as we understand it, toch hahod, but they all go into the left side, which is bina bilvad v'niknasim toch nuk b'bechidas mochin. So maybe it is all in the left side. That's what it is. It's the left side of Ima, and that's going to go into the nuk. V'ayin of the Indian the kichus anok. So the idea that which is taking them, a taras of the gevuras, that she's taking the itra, the gevuras, once again the left side of the middle. He nikroch b'lashon chibuk is small. So that idea, that's what we call chibuk is small, is that when Zeir Anpin Mima enters into the nukva all the way down to her, I guess it comes from the hod, that's what it is, it comes from the hod of the nukva, entering into the, of Ima, entering into the nukva. Here, nukva b'lashon chibuk is small, so that coming out of the left side of Ima into her, with the right sides, that is the middle right and the middle and the right, are suspended over the head of Zeir Anpin. Ki al yeder zem is matkim adinim shalom nikanizkar. So that transfer is called a sweetening of the dinim. Ba'ofen ki bizman the Darmita, so he explains. He says, at the time of the Darmita, Oz ba inyan the kibuk is small, Oz hadinim shadam is basme. And as a result of that kibuk, then there's sweetening there. Oz huzaman and the sira, and that makes it the time of the sira. Then he says, so these three aspects come at the same time. I don't know what the three aspects are. So he says, na'asim yachad, they get made together. Because through the dormita, that may be one. Ein Yanika the Nekeva of a So at that moment when he's sleeping, she's not able to get any sustenance from the male aspect, which is what normally happens. And then as a result of that, she's going to be removed from Zer Anpin. Niknasas Itra the Gevura Bina the Zer Anpin, and then the Itra the Gevura and the Bina of Zer Anpin enters into her. What was his left side, what was on his left side, enters into the Nukva, so Mochi Malacha, and they became her Mochi. So he said, small, that's what we call this transfer, is called Chibuk the small, called Zerabeheti, so understand that. He wants to bless us to understand that. There's a lot more, obviously, but they don't have the same pirish. Yom Kippurim, so on Yom Kippur, let me just ask you one thing. You have a Shefa Hakavanot, right? So maybe he did so. On number Dal, just for example, I'll just read, it just says a few words. He said, V'shlosha b'chinas eilu na'asa yachad, b'china ar echad, it says. Hu tzelem the bina, that is the tzelem, right? So we know what tzelem is. The bina of the gevuros. So those two are going to now enter into, he says, bina and gevuros. B'china sheni, says another v'shu, who av the rivuyim. You have this, what I'm reading? Who av the ribuyim, this is av in the form of a ribuy, misphera the sphera from sphera the sphera. So he's explaining that she's getting not only from Zeranpin, from what was in Zeranpin, from Bina, but also she's getting from the body of Zeranpin, but Bechina Shlishis, the third Bechina, who's av the ribuyim, is an av in the form of a ribuy, the perik, the sphera that goes from one, the perik, of the Nai of Zeranpin into the sphere of the Nukva Na'asas B'Yachad Bizman, and the sphere that all happens at the same time. Did you have the same thing in your? Did you? No. Okay. So he completely redid the book. I have to look around a little bit more. Like I said, I was doing some house cleaning because I got a couple of new things. I just don't have a very limited place to store stuff. Let's go to number Kuf Ches then. Kufches is the Yom Kippurim, on the day of Yom Kippur. Gavar ha'eses sphira shalom and nasra me'erev Yom Kippurim. So it's already been removed from her the day before, from that Sarah she made tshuva. So therefore, at the beginning of this day, Olam bedrega acha medrega, she starts moving upwards. Al ima iloha b'sedach ha'chamisha tefilus k'niska the she starts. So let me just read it and make it big. Al ima iloha, so she starts moving up. B'sedach ha'chamisha tefilus k'niska the of the chazar is musaf. When you get to the chazar and musaf, az nigbar b'liyasa sham, then she has actually grown up. Inyan de liyasa sham hu, so that inyan of her aliyah. So v'yiven Hashem Elokem es hatzala, that is her building up this backside, or building her. That's it, actually building her. Ki sham ki miskashetes b'kashutim, so there she becomes adorned. V'lokechas ha'chamisha gevuras min ima, that's when she receives these gevuras from ima atzma, shalo al yedei zeranpin. Kamo ad atach b'Rosh Hashanah, not alike just what we're saying now on Rosh Hashanah. Of an Ne'ilah, so now when you come to the Ne'ilah, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, also you have the seal on the Yisod of Ima, of the Nukva, taking place, who Hakli Shabo Nesunim Hamayim nukvin, because in that kli, what do you need that kli for? Shua kli, that kli is the place that gives mayim nukvin. Shehem hamisha gevura shalokachas me'ima, which is the 5 gevuros that she gets from Ima. Gevarn is boil la'elki hachosim hazecha be'enecha yisod atzba shaba is not, he says, ki hachosim hazeh, and nanu hayisod atzma shaba. It's not the yisod itself or yisod itself. Now we learned a little bit about the yisod in the Sifra that's Niyuta, I think. Let's go on. He said, "V'yomin shehem motzoi yom kippurim ad shmini atzeres." This is where we're at now. That's where I kind of wanted to start then. Below ad b'chlal, so it comes up to shmini atzeres, but it doesn't include shmini atzeres, and this is the time we're in right now. L'kol hu inin kiba k'yomin. The whole thing is the right line hugging her. G'var ki yicholed be'elach yamin. She's already able during these days. La'amod im zer anpin panim bepanim imo mamish. Mamish, she's in a position where she could be roi, or she's growing into a position for yichud v'locha im Yaakov levada. So now, let's go say it again. She's able now to stand zer anpin with the whole zer anpin, and not just where she was opposite that. She was Rachel, which is for the chaz of the mata like Yaakov. No, she's now able to grow to the whole side, the whole size of zer anpin. Panim bepanim imamamish below im Yaakov levada. Hello, im zer anpin atzma, with zer anpin himself. What's it mean? V'amda b'chibel kol yamim ku l'kichus gam es itra de chasadim, where she starts receiving the itra de chasadim, the right side of the middle line. Ha'amda b'chasadim me'elu, now these chasadim that she's going to get, yesh bechem shnei bechinos, they have 2 different aspects. Ha'bechinach ha'rishaynahu he, ha'chasadim shalokechas min ima atzma, are the chasadim that she takes from Ima herself. Shalo al yedei zer anpin, behemik shkala yomim niskarim. So they're coming from Ima herself. Yesh bebechinas zuchim shnei cholokim, there are 2 different ways to look at this. Ha'chelik arishon, the first part, heim chasadim or panimi. So let's get into the weeds here. He says there are actually 2 different kinds of chasadim. Is that right? Is the chasadim of the or panimi. The Hilach Hasheni, who the or makif, is going to be the or makif. So he said a complete selim came in. B'chilach Hasheni, see, hachasadim shal lokechas b'zer anpin atzma really refers to the chasadim that she gets from zer anpin himself. Ve'enam b'bechinas hadas atzma asher b'zer anpin, and they're not the das of zer anpin, but he says what they are, the shal lokechas b'zer anpin atzma, she gets the chasadim themselves. Not the das, but the chasadim. El bebechinas the chasadim is pashtim b'shisha kitzvos, the goof of the zer anpin k'noida, but she gets actually the chasadim that spread into the body from the body of zer anpin, as is known. Amna b'dechilas tzarich l'chamshech lechem ba'atzmam or godol. So the first thing is you have to spread into them a very strong light. Min ashorish v'hamakor shalachem, from where they come from. But what is that? Shehem hachasadim b'shecha be'itra d'chesed shebedas d'zer anpin. So they're actually the chasadim that come from the right side of the das of zer anpin. Kedei sheyuchlu heim achar kach, so that they should be able to, after this, the higher el hanuk, to be able to shine into the nuk. And to be able to give her the chasadim, as he mentioned. So they're also in this second bechina we're talking about. Yesh b'cholokim or panimi or makif. It has 2 different sides. Now, not sure that I understood exactly what he said, but in terms of, well, we'll see more about what he says if we'll just try to keep reading on and going through this. So now we're talking about the chasadim coming in from Ima. So, or panimi, and it becomes an or panimi, who shalo al yedech b'maisa, but it happens by itself. There's nothing, we don't do anything. Ela b'kol yom v'yom, Mumotsoy Yom Kippurim, and this is important to us, I guess. Ad Yom HaRishon Shal SUCCOS, until you get to the first day of SUCCOS. Nigbram the Kanes Bo. So this is the 5 days the chasadim, we say basically the chasadim from Ima are coming in. I'm a little confused there because I thought the chasadim remained on top of the head as their anpin as a makif, and the gevuros came from Ima. But let's go on and keep reading and see how it works out. There's obviously, maybe more that we could have seen over there. In these days themselves, yesh bechem shleimus is that. They have this shleimus. What shleimus is that? Baham shekazach besof or makif, and their besot or makif. Now the way that they flow is in the secret of the concept of a makif. So who al yadecha mitzvah sukkah? So what's the makif? The makif is going to be the sukkah. Shuchu b'pechinas or makif elyon k'noida. So it is the upper makif. So it mentions that. Now again, there's a lot missing here, so I'm reading on. Now this movement of the chasadim that were in Zer Anpin, or panimi or makif, and they come and they become an or panimi, they become also an or makif. He says shenechem na'asam ha'yedech mitzvahs alula. So there's detail on that. All of that takes place as a result of doing the lulav. The lulav brings the or makif in. Ella sha'al yedech netilas lulav. But what happens is through the taking of the lulav. That's the language that we use, the netilas lulav. Va'asiyas and non-noyim, and you do the non-noyim. Nektas or panimi comes in, enters then this or panimi. So this is what the movement of the lulav is going to be able to do. But hakafos, then you're going to do hakafos with the lulav. Hakafos of a melav im halulav, nektas or makif. Then the or makif comes in. Now, I'm not sure what that means because a makif is a makif, and the word niknas is. How much more time do we have?
10 minutes.
Oh, we got plenty of time. But Amnan Sark Shateda, so you have to know this. Ki kol elach hachasadim kulim b'kol b'chinosehem. Hem tzorach binyan gufa atzmas, for the purpose of building up the body itself, the asos parts of shalom, in order to be make it, and I assume he's talking about the parts of the nuf, in order to make it, the asos parts of shalom, a complete parts of. So what is necessary for her yichud only really takes place at the day of Hoshana Rabbah. Over Yom Ashmini Chag Atzeres, and the second and the 8th day, which is Atzeres, which is when the massacre took place. The Moshe Kasavdov of Bekomo, as we've written over in its proper place. Harin is Ba'ardo called the Bechinas Derek Klal. So we've got to explain that, how it goes through the days of SUCCOS, and you have the first of all the makif, which is the sukkah, and then you have the nanuyim, or the hakafa, which is referring to, I guess, the makifim, and then you have the nanuyim, which brings everything in. Kacha b'chinas derek klal. That's what it is, generally speaking. I think I got that right. I don't know. So now let's talk about the details. So the first bechina, so let's talk about this. What chasadim does she take from Ima? But he says this is what happens. He made noidahu. Those chasadim that she's taken from Ima herself. So they come to her in the same pathway that the chasadim come from Zer Anpin. Now, I thought the chasadim come from Zer Anpin as a result of a yichud. So let's say because Misha chasadim is pashtin bechesed ad hod sheba. So what happens is these chasadim, they spread throughout her body through the 5 different places. Then the klal of it comes in. Yeredet b'yisod sheba comes into her yisod. Hanikra kol kanoida, which is called kol. which means it's a composite, or it's receiving everything. It's a basket. Then there's going to be another ha'ara after that. Yotzes l'toldas ha'aras klalus hachasadim the yisod. So now you have this concept of the yisod, which is a kolel, and inside of it, and then from it comes a radiance. He says a ha'ara, which is a radiance. Acher is another one that comes from the yisod. And this ha'ara also has the 5 chasadim. But you read it the malchus sheba, and it goes down into her malchus. The or penimi. So now we have the 7 different aspects of the chasadim, of the or that's going into her. So now we say that her, what we say, the Chagat Nehim is all filled now. In this same way is how where it splits up and spreads out these chasadim to or makif b'chutz. The same thing is happening. It could take more explanation here of how the chasadim to or makif works on the outside. In these 7 spheres, in this case we said before, it brings the makif. Now, I don't know what he meant by that. Did he mean that somehow the makif, enters in? But actually it remains, the sukkah is outside. So it's outside of you, of the nook. So therefore it remains the makif. I guess the makif comes close. I'm not sure that part. What he meant by his chalkus, his pashas, or chasadim, or makif. What did he mean by that? They spread also. Maybe opposite the place that the chasadim, of the benimim spread. I don't know. The next of the Indian chasadim, the or penimi. Let's go back and talk about this. He said, "B'kol hazmanim acherim," and all the other times, say the hispash the chasadim, who the way that these chasadim spread is like this: milamala lamata, from the top to the bottom. Bein ba'or penimi, bein ba'or makif. Whether we're talking about an or penimi or we're talking about an or makif. Kitachila is pashetis b'chesed. So this is the way it goes. The first thing, it spreads into chesed. V'achakak b'gevura, v'achakak b'teferes, etc. It goes one at a time. So that's the normal way that it would go. Is that what it means? He says, they come from the top to the bottom. Now, what does that mean? But the ones that are orpanimi, they don't go in that frame. Instead, they go from the bottom to the top. It's like an or choser. Because the first thing happens in with the, and again, let me just go back a little bit to number samach. I have a samach test. It says chasadim or makif, hem niknasim kedarkum. They come in normally milamal lamanta. So that's the top one that would be keser would come in first. But that's not the same thing that you have with the orpanimi. Niknasim shalokadarko, then they enter in not in the normal way, lamala from the top, but rather from the bottom to the top. Because that's the way this goes. But so the reason why one is coming in from the top to the bottom, first comes Kesser and then comes Malchus at the end. This one has Malchus at the beginning and Kesser at the end. That's the or panini, the difference between the two. Now why? It says because now in this stage she's gotten all of the gevuros and the dinim from Zer Anpin. The dinim bilvad. Im gevur shalokechas al yedei Zer Anpin, being gevur shalokechas al yedei ima, one way or another, she's got a lot of gevur. She's all gevur. Ve'ina keshel zemana should take it ba'am shenitno ba hagevuros niknas chasadim. So at the same time, I guess, as a result of the yichud, and he's really talking about in the morning, in the morning time, after Ba'ava, then you have an entrance of the two of them. He says, at the same time, Kanaidu. He says, what's happening now, B'kol Eilach Yom Sheben Rosh Hashanah L'Shmini Atzeres. B'kol Yom B'kol Tefillah, every day, every time you daven, Keniska the Echa beginning Chosim Ne'ilas Yom Kippurim, the Inyan of the Chosim of the Ne'ilah of Yom Kippurim. So therefore they don't lo nischazku hagavuras bo. They don't get a lot of strength. Avachata. Shekol the service he made tshuva, though this time lo choye baraka gavuras v'dinim. So that's in the normal way that she has. He said that you have an immediately sweetening because they come together. He says, which I think needs more explanation, but at any rate, we're not doing that right now. But it's taking place over the course of the whole 10 days. So if we're talking about the chasadim on the penimin that are inside, they go from the top to the bottom, Kesser comes first, and they become nullified. What does that mean? He says that he says because the Gevuros are extending down through these days, then as a result of that, it's all left side, and there's no possibility for the chasadim to come in, except, and you have some extension of days. They have to go through a few days. So I'm not sure what all the detail of that. So the reason for this aricha, because of the chet of Adam Rishon, on the day that he was created, Shehu Yom Rosh Hashanah, Hitel HaNachash Zohama B'chava. So let's see what he says. At that time, the Nachash came into Chava. It became necessary for the Nukva Dezer Ampen, that his Akev Kol Yomim Ha'elu, to hold back all of this time. Until it's already completed at Shmini Atzeres. V'lo yochlo lehistakein b'pam echad. It can't be fixed at one time. El medrega acha medrega kenizka the el. So he says because of the presence of this Yetzer Hara that entered into her, it can't be fixed all at one time. Let's go on a little bit more. It says v'nimsa ki muchrachu. So it comes out like this. It's absolutely necessary. Shelo yikanet b'kol yom, that it should not come in every single day. Rach chesed echad. So what's happening is every day, only one chesed comes in. Kamoshi Yisbar, as we explained. B'chesed agadol shebechem, and with the biggest chesed, shuhu hachesed shebechesed, which is the chesed of chesed. Okay, that sounds more like it. Niknas b'chad b'techida, that comes first. Because she's by himself. So Hagavuras, that is this chesed of chesed, is going to go yechidi by itself. Besoch Hagavuras Rabos v'Hagadlos v'Chazakos ha'Haim. So since she's full of dinim and a very nasty situation over there, which includes obviously the Yetzer Hara and so on and so forth, you're bringing in a chesed into that by itself. V'Hoyet Mizbatach Besocho, so that it was Mizbato inside of those, in the midst of all of those gevuros. And after that, each on its own day, so we have 5 days here. So they're going to be less than it. Least Suffolk, she is battle with any doubt that they're all going to be, since they're not as strong as the chesed that's now been washed out, they're all going to go that same way. Because all the rest of them are going to be the weaker ones. Let's go on. That's it? Adkan. Okay, so we're trying to make some ground and going through all of that. So now we're getting an idea of what's going on here in the 5 days before Sukkot.